we met at MAYA, which is like Meadville Area Young Adults Group. That's at New Beginnings Church. Well, I had been going a while, and then James showed up, and you could tell them about how you ended up there.
So, after my grandfather had passed away, shortly after, I had hit kind of a low point. So my buddy Josh had been trying to get me to go there for a while, and he finally convinced me. He said, "You're coming with me." So he didn't really convince me, he just told me. And when he came to pick me up, before I got in the truck, he said, "Okay, let's go find you a wife."
And usually when somebody was new at that point, like the group is really small, so we noticed new people, and I said, "Oh, there's a new person here." So we all like went up, and I was much more outgoing then apparently. Like never do that now. We all went up and we started talking, and James and I were actually having a really great conversation because he at that time was working as a CNA and I was working as a home health aide. So very similar field, both in the medical field. So we were having a really great conversation. And at that point, that was like as far as it went. I was like, okay. And then I said I'd be back like the next week to everybody, and I'm sure he heard. I was like not there for like a month, but apparently he had remembered about me because he messaged me and he's like, "I noticed you're like not here." Like, "You okay? Like, what's up?" So we started talking over Messenger, and I showed back up again, and we would hang out there, here and there. And at some point or another, I'm not sure how this happened exactly, but I know, or like when this happened and all of that, but I know I had at least been there a few times.
Twice.
It was more than twice.
Twice.
It was definitely more than twice. All right, it doesn't matter how long. We were talking about like foods and stuff, and I said that because I love sushi, and I was like, I love like Chinese food and sushi. That's my thing. And so he's like, "Oh, well, there's this restaurant, ANC Buffet in Franklin, which they do not have sushi, but that's okay."
But they have Chinese food.
But they have Chinese food, because I was close enough, I guess. That's how we started dating from there.
I told my buddy Josh the night that I met her that I was going to marry her, though.
Okay, yeah, so James was ready from the start. Like, he was, like, ready to go. We always joked, or he always joked. I don't know if he was joking, but he would always say we could get married the next day.
There had never been any other person that I had ever met that I connected with and enjoyed just being in the room with as much as Ariel.
It was just, we couldn't stand being away from each other. Like, we would cry. Like, literally, both of us.
Parking lot at the Meadville Walmart.
Yeah, I remember. Like, wherever we were, I remember just, like, crying every time we left, and it was so hard, and you just count the days where you could be back together. And every day when you got a text, you were just, like, waiting for it. It was all you could think about. You know, like, it was just that feeling. Like, I had never felt that way with anybody before. And at some point or another, once, you know, we had just been like that for so long, and we were very clearly in love, and I knew that he served the Lord and I served the Lord, and that we had a positive relationship that, you know, pointed towards God. I told him, I remember I messaged him and I said, like, I hinted that if he got a ring, I would say yes. His ability to cook. So, I knew that James had cooked a little bit before we got married, but, you know, I knew that he didn't do it very often. But he could, like, cook, like, anything he puts his mind to. Like, he makes, like, these awesome tuna melts, and he makes this really great vegetable soup. And actually, I love liver. But I know, that's like a no-go for most people. I love liver and onions.
It will never enter my mouth.
And he hates it, but he makes it so good. I don't know how. I mean, he doesn't even eat it.
She likes non-paranormal thrillers. I think is one of the most interesting things I've learned.
Really?
Probably.
So James comes from, like, a different, like, side of life, maybe I would put it. So, like, stop laughing.
I had a lot of problems.
Okay, whatever.
That's what she said.
Whatever. So being around somebody who was kind of just more freshly out of that, seeking the Lord, it really challenged me on a lot of things, just like about how people grow in Christ and whatnot, and giving me like a lot of compassion. And also he's much better at talking to people, I think, than I am, especially concerning the Lord. And so he definitely challenged my thinking and gave me a new perspective on a lot of things I never thought about before.
She's taught me a lot about surrendering, and being humble. I definitely come from a very prideful background. If I wasn't so prideful, I wouldn't have been into most of the things that I was and struggled with them as long as I did. But just learning how to surrender, for some odd reason, when you're forced to work side by side with someone every day, you learn how to just step back and not always be in charge. And I think that's helped me a lot on my world views, my personal views of other people, and like spiritually surrendering to not only Jesus and God, but also the leadership that God's put in my life. Probably just the amount of time that we spend with each other, but also taking some time to ourselves to enjoy the hobbies that we do have. Like, Ariel's an absolutely amazing artist, and it's good for her to take time away for a few hours, maybe even just like 20 minutes some nights, just so that she can enjoy what she enjoys,
Is he always takes time, like, especially if we're arguing. He always takes time. Like, for me, I like to walk away. I'm one of those people. I tend to walk away, at least for a time. He does not like that. And so he's like, no, we're going to talk about this issue, and that forces you to calm down. You have to, even if you're angry, you have to talk things out, because, it's just going to escalate it if you start yelling. So it teaches you to be patient and to deal with the situation, not just run away from it. And I think he just has a really, really good way of going about that. I think it feeds into our relationship to be healthy, because if you can't do healthy things when things are at its worst, you can't really do it at its best either, if it makes sense. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I honestly didn't know that you felt that way about that. I thought you thought it was annoying.
I think spending quality time is also another way that we feed our relationship, because it's important. That's something that we value. We want to watch movies together. We want to hang out together. We actually started this thing where Tuesdays and Thursdays for a few hours, we don't go on our phones, we just talk.
The old phrase, don't go to bed angry. That's why I always wind up bugging her when she goes to walk away. We kind of always wind up fighting right before bedtime.
It's true.
So, and I'm not going to let her go to bed angry, and I'm not going to let us go to bed with an unresolved issue. It needs to be talked about that night and settled before I lay my head down. Because I'm not going to wake up to the same problem the next day.